talking with Mike Lee about his book, The Guided Journey, and Mike has just chronicled a incredible journey through not only his career and jobs and all that, but really how to kind of combine that with his faith. And he's really written a great book that's not only a novel and a biographical book, but also kind of a tutorial and a guide to help you find more success, defining your life, and moving forward with a lot more purpose, in my opinion. And Mike, you talked about writing now and looking at yourself differently as at least an author in one way, but possibly in multiple ways, in my opinion. And you mentioned briefly that you had typed basically what turned into like 900 pages journaling over the years and that kind of thing. How do you write? Like, what is your way? I mean, what would you say to someone? So I want to write a book. I want to write my life. How would you say is the best way for them to start? And how do you carve that time out when you're so busy?
Yeah. So, going back to the beginning, it's funny. I actually have to give my wife credit for this, and she'll be happy to hear that. Right? Her name is Kelly. Her name is Kelly. I've already mentioned my kid's name, and when I mentioned to you earlier, Brandon, that when I was doing a lot of this free form writing as I was flying on those long trips, I started to get. I got to the point where I realized, you know what, I want to write a book, but I don't know what it should be about. And I don't know where to start. And my wife, actually, we were sitting at lunch, and I shared that with her, and she said to me, as she can do, she's very direct sometimes with me. She said, Mike, you big dummy, why don't you just write the first story? Like, just take the story about your grandmother and her vision of heaven. Just write it out. Just don't overthink it. Just crank it out. And, and then make a bullet point list of the interesting stories that you've had in your life, and just, don't get so caught up in you have to write all of them. Just write the first one. And that's really how it started. And then it became a collection of stories. And then it ultimately became, when I got to work with Janet Toma, who was, worked for Thomas Nelson for 30 years. She helped me find a publisher. She helped me write the the first version of the book to get publisher interest, and then she helped me edit the whole thing. But the first thing she helped me do is to write my thesis statement, and I tell you, that was the hardest. That first sentence was the hardest thing to do. I had written these 900 pages, but she said, basically, put that all to the side. What's the one thing that you have to share with the world that you have a unique perspective around? And that's a hard question. And so, what's ironic about this, Brandon, is that her doing that, she actually helped me discover more specifically my purpose in life, because what I discovered was that my purpose in life is to help other people find their purpose in life. And that was kind of like, oh.
Well, let's be clear. This is going to be Kelly's favorite clip, because she gets all the credit, because she said, just write the first story, Mike. Just write. So, Kelly, this is all for you, Kelly, just so you know. It's all for you. Mike Lee and his book, The Guided Journey.